Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is still playing out this bullish divergence, we've just seen one of the largest Bitcoin whales in the world buy more Bitcoin, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside this short-term price pattern still currently forming for the price of Bitcoin, while the price of Ethereum, just like the price of Solana, are both bouncing from these important levels of support, while the price of XRP is also now bouncing from this critical area on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin news today, because over the last one day, Michael Saylor just announced that his company Strategy, previously known as MicroStrategy, has yet again just bought more Bitcoin. And now, obviously, this time around, this purchase was clearly not as large as some of their other purchases. So this time, they did indeed buy around 130 Bitcoin for around 10 to 11 million US dollars at an average price of around $83,000 per Bitcoin. But even though this is a relatively small purchase for Strategy, of course, it is still showing that they are accumulating Bitcoin basically no matter what, whether the price is bullish or bearish, it doesn't matter. Basically, any time where Strategy, previously known as MicroStrategy, once again, anytime they find spare cash, they just pump it into Bitcoin to buy as much Bitcoin as they can. And in case you're wondering, if you're new to all of this, Strategy currently holds almost 500,000 Bitcoin. That is right, almost 500,000 Bitcoin that they acquired for over 33 billion US dollars, but currently that Bitcoin that they're holding is worth a lot more than just 33 billion. And so this was at least some bullish news that we got over the last one day, showing some buying pressure coming in from one of the largest whales in the world in terms of Bitcoin whales. But if we're taking a look at the stock market today, looking at the S&P 500 index on the daily time frame, we can actually see that in this last trading day, just over the last one day here, we actually saw a bit more of a bounce just in the short term here in the stock market. And so we're currently seeing a bounce from oversold territories here on the daily RSI for the S&P 500 index, and this is the same for the Nasdaq 100 index as well on the daily time frame. And if we're taking a look at the last time we got very close to oversold territories on the daily chart, we did indeed see a bounce in the short term. So of course, at least in the short term, this is a good sign to see basically the oversold signal actually starting to play out. And the reason I'm covering the stock market on a crypto channel is because the crypto market is highly correlated to the stock market. So of course, it's not a perfect one-to-one correlation, but usually if the stock market's dumping, that translates over to bearish price action for Bitcoin and crypto, and vice versa. If the stock market is booming, usually that is good for crypto. And so that is the current situation in the short term for the US stock market. We're currently seeing a bit of a bounce, a relief from all of the bearish price action from this oversold signal, which is helping Bitcoin and crypto, at least in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart today, looking at the 4-day time frame, technically we still have this red indicator, this bearish signal right here from the super trend indicator on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart. So not much has changed over the last one day on this chart, and the same can be said about this weekly Bitcoin price chart, because obviously, at least for now, we're still quite a decent distance away from actually crossing back into the bullish direction here in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. So technically, at least for now, it is currently looking more bearish than it is bullish. But with that being said, just over the last 1 week, we're now actually starting to slow the bearish momentum. As we can see right here, we're basically potentially reaching some sort of trough here in the histogram within the MACD indicator. And so we'll potentially find out at some point over the next couple of weeks or so if this is actually a low within the histogram, and maybe we start reversing a little bit, which means we could start seeing a little bit more of a recovery, kind of like what we saw back here, for example. But once again, it's still pretty early to say that that's definitely happening right now. So we still need to wait over the next 1 or 2 weeks, give or take at least, in order to actually start seeing a possible low form within the histogram within the MACD indicator. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we still have a massive bearish divergence to pay attention to between the price of Bitcoin and the RSI. As we can see, higher highs confirmed in the price in the candle closes and lower highs confirmed in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. RSI. So at least for now, we're still quite a long way away from actually invalidating this bearish divergence. And so this is still technically telling us that we should not necessarily expect a significant amount of bullish momentum in the short term. So yes, we can see little short-term bounces and short-term bullish reliefs just in the short term once again, but don't necessarily expect a significant amount of bullish momentum towards the upside like what we saw back here, for example, at least anytime soon. But if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, for now, we are finding some short-term support along this 38.2% Fibonacci level, which is sitting at around 82,500, acting as short-term support. But if we start breaking back below that level, the next retracement level to watch out for acting as support is sitting at close to 76,000. And the next Fibonacci level of resistance to watch out for based on previous Fibonacci support flipping into new resistance is sitting at approximately 91 to 92K. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we also have resistance within this area based on this latest high just here in the price, and also a small spike in volume in the volume profile indicator sitting in between around 86,000 to 88,000, acting as resistance. And above that, we also have another spike in traded volume in the volume profile indicator at approximately 96,000, give or take. So basically in the lower 90K area and the mid 90K area, we have a lot of resistance around there. And as for support, obviously, if we first break below around 82 to 83,000, and especially below around 76,000, then in that case, the next significant area of support towards the downside is this area in between around 70,000 to 74,000. And right now on the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're technically still playing out this shorter term bullish divergence, as we can see. And as I've been saying basically every day for almost a week now, since basically we confirmed the bullish divergence with that first green candle close right here. From that point onwards, every single day I've been saying we should be expecting just a slight bullish relief, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes and most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And typically a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over a couple of weeks, give or take. Now, of course, sometimes it can be longer or shorter, but usually a couple of weeks we end up seeing this bullish divergence actually playing out on the daily time frame. So considering it's only been close to 1 week, I do continue to expect this bullish divergence to continue to play out at least over the next few days, but most likely over the next 1 week approximately. And just before taking a look at some other important Bitcoin price charts today, first, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I'm starting to take more of my crypto trades over on 2bit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, by the way, I'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, a brand new Mercedes-Benz or $50,000 in trading rewards, which you can actually claim using that link if you're one of these larger traders here. But if you're not one of the larger crypto traders out there, you can also claim some decent bonuses using that link, like for example, a $30 sign up bonus and also a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So if you simply just make an account using that link, deposit, let's just say $1,000, you get a $200 bonus onto your 2bit account. But once again, only if you use that link. And on top of all of that, if you simply use the link below this video to 2bit, you are automatically upgraded to VIP level 1 trading fees, which basically means you get a massive discount on trading fees, lowered trading fees over on 2bit, but once again, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there is also BTNex as another exchange out there that I also trade on myself. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And that link, by the way, will take you to this sign up page where you can claim an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on BTNex forever, but that is only available if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, BTNex is also a no KYC exchange as well. But with that being said, taking a look at the short-term Bitcoin Bitcoin price action right now here on the 4-hour time frame, we're technically still forming a possible rising wedge pattern, which is typically a bearish pattern because roughly 2 times out of 3 a rising wedge breaks to the downside, and roughly a third of the time it breaks out towards the upside. So of course it is possible we could see a bullish breakout from a rising wedge. It's just that is the less likely scenario. But if we're paying attention to support and resistance, we have support for the rising wedge sitting at around 82,500 and resistance sitting at approximately 85,500. And we also have a lot of horizontal resistance, as we could see, at just under 85,000 at around 84.8k approximately. So keep that in mind as well. But if we, for example, see a confirmed break below this line of support, so candle closes, for example, below around 82,500 and especially below this low right here at around 82.3k, give or take, then in that case, that would activate the technical price target for the rising wedge, which would be sitting at the bottom of the wedge at approximately 78,500. And so if that were to happen, once again, for now, we've not yet confirmed that price target or break of either support or resistance. But if, for example, we break below that line of support, activating that bearish price target, that would be around a 4 to 5% move towards the downside from that support line to the price target. And so just for example, if you're taking that trade with a 10x leverage shorts position, that would be around a 40 to 50% profit just in that little move right there in that example. But as always, not financial advice. I'm just sharing a potential trading opportunity based on this price pattern. But once again, it's not currently confirmed, at least not yet. And if we never actually break below this line of support and instead we see a breakout above this line of resistance, in that case, I'll just be paying attention to the next points of resistance, like for example, in between 86 to 88,000 and also in the lower 90k area. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we still have a massive amount of liquidity just below the price in between around 71,000 to 74,000. And we also have a decent amount of liquidity starting to build at close to 100,000. But obviously between now and then, we do have a lot of resistance that we need to pay attention to. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, obviously over the last one day, nothing's really changed in terms of the larger price structure here on the weekly Ethereum chart, because at least for now, obviously we're still forming lower highs, slight lower highs, but significant lower lows, breaking below this multi-year line of support. So obviously that is all bearish price structure on the larger time frames. But as I always say, even during these larger bearish moves, we can of course see short-term bullish reliefs from time to time. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day time frame, we are currently bouncing from this 78.6% Fibonacci level of support, which is sitting at around 1870 to 1880 approximately. So at least for now, we still have a lot of support around there on the price chart. And if we continue this bounce further, I would expect a lot of resistance in between around 2.1k to 2.2k. And as for other support levels towards the downside, if we were to actually break below around 1870, for example, with candle closes further confirming that break, and especially if we flip that into new resistance, seeing a rejection like that, for example, in that case, I would expect to move potentially all the way down towards around 1.5k if we first actually confirm a break below this level of support. And as I always say, Ethereum, along with a lot of the major altcoins out there, will likely follow similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin plays out a slight bullish relief with that bullish divergence that's playing out right now, expect something similar, not the exact same, but something similar for a lot of these major altcoins. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame, it's basically the same story for Solana as what I just said for Ethereum. Basically, of course, we are breaking towards the downside from this massive bearish rising wedge pattern, but we are currently stopped at significant support, obviously, as I've been saying for weeks now on the channel, since before we actually hit that support level, I've been talking about this major support, saying how we're likely going to find a lot of support within around 120 to 130, and so far that's exactly playing out as expected. And so not a lot has changed on this chart over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at this daily Solana price chart, obviously for now we're still actively playing out this shorter term bullish divergence, which means we're likely likely going to see a slight bullish relief, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically a bit of a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action here, but not necessarily the end of the bearish trend. And so, for example, it is possible that we could see a bit more of a relief maybe over the next 1 or 2 weeks, give or take, and then ultimately a continuation of the bearish trend later on. That's still a possibility that we also need to consider. And so for now, this larger price structure is technically still looking a little bit more bearish than it is bullish, especially with this bearish rising wedge playing out. But for now, with the price running into this major support and playing out this bullish divergence, at least over the coming days, most likely over the next week, give or take, I do continue to expect a bit more of a relief just in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 3-day time frame, we're still technically playing out this significant bearish divergence on this 3-day chart, which means we should not necessarily expect a significant amount of bullish momentum anytime soon. And obviously I've been saying that basically every day for months now on the channel since much higher prices. And as I've also been saying, of course, this bearish divergence does not mean we're going to see only bearish price action. For example, we can see short-term bullish price action bouncing from support levels and things like that. It just means don't expect significant bullish momentum towards the upside. So for now, and as I've been saying for months now, this has been perfectly playing out as expected. But if we're taking a look at this 8-hour XRP price chart, just in the short term over the last couple of days, we did obviously see a breakout above this short-term area of resistance, which was sitting in between around $2.25 to $2.30. And over the last 1 to 2 days, we actually retested that area to flip it into new support. And so far, as of recording this video, we're currently bouncing from that area, actually proving it as support. And so for now, in the short term, this is very bullish price structure. Anytime we break out above resistance, come back to actually retest it and then flip it into new support, obviously that is price structure heading in the bullish direction. So that is some short-term good news for the price of XRP. And the next significant resistance to watch out for is sitting in between around $2.65 to $2.80. But before then, we also have a decent amount of resistance at close to $2.50 and just under $2.50. But overall, the price of XRP is basically within a bit of a sideways price range, as we could see for the last few weeks, for roughly a month, give or take. We've basically just been bouncing around sideways within this range on the price chart. So for now, we're kind of lacking momentum to either direction, even though in the shorter term, we do have some bullish price structure that is worth paying attention to, at least for now. Once again, due to this larger bearish divergence, this is telling us we should not necessarily expect significant bullish momentum. And so I'll not be surprised if the price basically just continues chopping around sideways within this range for the foreseeable future, for at least the coming days or weeks. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now the price of Chainlink is continuing this short-term bullish relief from, of course, this bullish divergence on the daily time frame, and also bouncing from this Fibonacci level of support sitting at around 1270 to 1280. So this is still playing out as I've been saying here on the channel. But remember, a bullish divergence and bouncing from support, those signals are not necessarily bullish trend reversal signals. Of course, if we're looking at the larger price structure, technically speaking, we've not yet confirmed a reversal out of this larger bearish trend, because at least for now, we're still currently forming lower highs and lower lows, and we're still yet to see any confirmed breakouts above key points of resistance and actually flipping out into new support. So at least for now, technically, this larger trend is still currently bearish, but just in the short term, over the next few days, maybe a week, give or take, I do expect a little bit more of a relief during this bearish trend. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, obviously I just mentioned we do have support at around 1270 to 1280, but if we break that level to invalidate this bullish divergence here, in that situation, the next significant support towards the downside would be sitting at around $10 if we first break below around 1270 approximately. And as for resistance, I would expect a lot of resistance at close towards around $15, give or take, and above that, significant resistance at around $17.50. And ideally, in order to finally start to flip a little bit more bullish again in terms of the larger trend here for the price of Chainlink, I'd like to, at the very least, see a confirmed breakout back above this golden pocket, so back above around 15 to 15.50, and then actually hold that as support and ideally form some sort of higher low on the price chart. Once we see signals like that, then we can finally start to become a little bit more confident in more of a bullish trend actually starting to form. But once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any Crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those extra bonuses using those links. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto for yourself, no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.